What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Kaylu,
And your boy ZB.
and we are back with another episode of Time Out. Let's Get Real.
Episode 4, we here.
For them things, and we back like we never left. And I'm loving the
Yeah.
feedback. I'm loving the vibes. I'm loving the support. Shout out to y'all for
Mm,
being real ones.
I'm literally very pleasantly surprised at the feedback we've been getting. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Germany,
Shout out to
Canada, Hungary,
Hungry. You feel me?
Alaska, everybody.
Literally.
Everybody is listening to us. Everybody's tuning in. The support has been great. The feedback, the emails, all of that has been great. We
Yes.
appreciate everybody.
The more feedback, the better. We love the emails. We love the positive energy, the pros, the cons. I haven't really heard any cons yet, honestly. I've been asking everybody. I'm like, "Do you have any cons? Like anything that you think we can do better?" And they're like, "No, honestly, it's good." But I don't know if
Right.
they
There
know a lot
hasn't
about
there hasn't
podcasts.
been I mean, we're new to it, just like most of them don't have a podcast. We're just starting, we're learning and stuff. But so most of it's been positive, which is great. There really hasn't been too many hater vibes yet, which is wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. So,
And
go ahead.
a lot of people get their comments out on the live, which, just for everybody's information, every Monday night we go live after we drop our new podcast. Just kind of like for the listeners who are all over it and listen to it day one, which is beautiful. We have a little live session where we kind of talk about the live, what we discussed, kind of just like an open forum where anybody can comment on whatever they thought about the podcast, whatever advice they have for us, opinions, and whatever the advice that they may need from us. We be on live. So
Yes.
every Monday, usually around 9 p.m.,
Yeah, on
holler at us.
TikTok.
We're on live.
Yeah, I always promote the
TikTok.
podcast on my personal TikTok. We also have a TikTok account called Time Out Let's Get Real, so you definitely can follow us there. Once we get up to 1,000 subs, we'll be going live on there. Try to figure out a way to do it. I'm sure there's a will, there's a way. But
Facts.
yeah, so as of right now, we're on Klu, and then ZB will be in there as well, so you'll see him. I think if you follow
Kalu,
him,
and it's your boy ZB. Follow your boy ZB at it's your boy ZB. Go follow.
yes, on TikTok.
Turn
I
me up.
I think
We
when you come on my live, it still shows the notification that you are live as well, though. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure about that, but anywho, we just got off of a live where you left me very, very triggered. And
Anyways,
the no, the fans loved it. The crowd loved that shit.
oh my gosh, they were like,
Which got us
"This is
it basically
intense."
got us into a situation to where we started talking about what are your triggers, which obviously KG and I know each other's triggers, but we were talking about what are your triggers in a relationship?
Yes. So,
What's your
do you want
first
to tell
trigger in a
us?
relationship?
Okay, you want me to go first?
Or I can go
So,
first.
okay, you tell
Doesn't
me
matter.
yours. You kind of set the tone first, and then I'm gonna go.
So this is my first trigger and my biggest trigger. I'm a patient person, so I don't have many triggers, but my main trigger that I have, and this is in relationships, whether it's intimate with your girlfriend, wife, whatever, your significant other, or just friends. One of my biggest triggers is tone and attitude. Basically, I am very triggered by your tone. I feel like I'm very aware of the importance of tone and how you talk to people. So whether that tone be sarcasm or even its tone regarding how loud you're coming at me, if you're yelling, if you're being a little aggressive, I tend to respond very aggressively back. I cannot handle that. That's my biggest trigger in every situation. Tone is so important. Words are important, but tone, that's the interesting thing about tone is our main source of communication now with everybody
It's
is
text.
text.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't understand the tone that people are using sometimes. So a lot of times, this is the reason for many, many arguments in relationships is the lack of understanding in the tone that was being used in a text because you assume your head literally goes to the first place it takes you.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't know what someone's vibe is. You don't know what their mood is. You don't know how they said something. Like through text, it's everything's kind of up in the air, and you can take it however, unless you really truly know that
Right.
person. He really is triggered by tones though, because sometimes like I'll have
Very
an
triggered.
attitude and he'll be like, first of all, who are you talking to? I'll be like, you. I have a
Tone is
problem with
important
tones.
because tone is important because instantly, if something's wrong with somebody, if something's wrong with you and you call me, I can say what's wrong because I can hear it. So I'm
Mhm.
some people are tuned in to tone way more than other people, which is just it's like a skill, really. It's a communication
Empath.
skill. If you can really tap into, yeah, an empath. If you're empathetic to people and you can tap into how they're feeling and kind of read off of what kind of tone they're using, that can save you a whole lot of arguments.
Yeah,
But sometimes an aggressive tone is needed.
yeah,
Kaylu.
I think that I'm definitely I'm kind of big on tones too though. Like I can read the room. Growing up in the house that I grew up in, with the people that I grew up with, I definitely got to know like vibes, energies, moods based off of just like pure um interaction. Just like they don't even say anything. Like yesterday, actually I think it was today. I came home, my mom was like looking, she couldn't find something. And I looked at her and I was like, I didn't know this at the time, right? I literally just walked in the door and I looked at her. I said, "Whoa, what's wrong with you? You look stressed." Like instantly. She
Right.
hadn't even said a single word. She's like, "I can't find my
That's what's
insulin."
amazing. That's what's amazing about tone. Like, and this is like a deeper thought, but like that's what's amazing about tone is something you can hear,
Or
but it
see.
also like it's like literally tone is the way that you feel energy through sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you
Mhm.
hear a sound a certain way, that's like you feeling energy when somebody's in a room and they have a bad energy. Like they're
Mhm.
tied together and it's nuts. Like it's a simple thing, but when you think about it deeply, it's complex.
Yeah. I
So
remember the girls at school when I was in cosmetology school, I was big on that. I would always say like, "Oh my gosh, your aura is awful. Like you're like a dark green." And I never knew what the auras were that I would say, but like to me, I could just see an aura around them. I don't know how to explain it. It's super weird, but they would always be like if they came into school mad, they would literally look at me and be like, "This is what happened. This is why I'm mad. That's why my aura is terrible. I'll talk to you in a little bit." Like, because they knew just by them walking in the door, I knew, oh gosh. Like, and I think, like I said, goes back to childhood. Like, you read the room, right? Like, I'm
right.
so hyper aware of moods, energies. Are you mad? Are you frustrated? Are you angry without you even saying anything like the like the
Yeah,
huffs,
the
the
body
puffs.
language, the sighs,
Yes.
like literally the kids can read that. Like they
Yeah.
can read as a child, they can read your language. They can tell if you're upset. They can tell if y'all are arguing, even if you're not arguing in front of the children, they can hear that. So it's
Mhm.
like in us from childhood with our instincts, we're literally able to read the room and know like if it's a negative energy, if there's some type of bad feeling or
Mhm.
negative stuff going on. So tone
Yeah.
is very important, and that's like my biggest trigger.
Yeah. Um,
What's
okay.
yours?
So, I think it's a toss up between 2, but I'll say this one might be number 1. You might disagree. I don't know. So, for me, I say you might disagree because you know me so well. But feeling like belittled or like not heard, right? So, I think that's why I'm really like I call myself an alpha female, but I think it's just because like I stand on like no, you're going to hear what I have to say and like you're like I want people to listen to me to understand, not to respond. I want you to understand where I'm coming from and I think when you kind of feel unvalidated in life in certain situations or with certain people and that's your childhood and you grow up that way, then that makes you like
Right.
hyper like, no, you're gonna listen to me, you're gonna hear what I have to say, you're gonna hear me out, you're gonna understand, like you're not gonna talk down to me. I think that's why I am the way I am. And sometimes people aren't even meaning it like that, but I take it like that because it sounds like something I've heard before, you know? Like I know that sounds crazy probably to some people, but just like I feel like your opinion matters. Everybody, every person, like how you feel matters, and don't ever let anyone make you feel like your opinion doesn't matter, how you feel doesn't matter. Don't let anyone ever belittle you in any way, shape, or form.
Sometimes when you're sensitive about a subject and like you feel like your opinion or your thought was dismissed or disregarded,
Mhm.
you get defensive naturally. So sometimes that's where it's tricky because if you feel passionately about something, then naturally you start to get defensive, even though like it's important in situations to know people's intentions.
Mhm.
Sometimes you can take somebody's intention as one way, but it's really not that. Like they have good intentions, they just didn't deliver it the best way.
Yeah.
Delivery, like I'm so fascinated with like business mindset and like speech, like literally the importance of words that you choose to use and the tone you use and how you deliver it.
Mhm.
It's so important. Like that's literally the art of music that we love. The music that you love is all because of those things. The podcasts that you love are all because of those things. Like every little facet in life involves your tone, your intention, and how you deliver, how you come through, how you act upon things.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely think that I don't know, I just think because of who you are, like how you're raised or who you are, I think everything like that really just plays a super big role, even if people aren't trying to seem that way or come across that way. That's just how it's perceived sometimes. So I think that's another thing of me being like saying like, "Oh, I can't be vulnerable." Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
hard part as well. Like for me to open up and be vulnerable because people like to belittle you and make you feel less than or not heard or like when you let someone vent, that's my biggest thing. You let someone vent, you let them get everything out that they want to say, and they literally say, "No, I said what I said," and that's it. Absolutely not. That's what we not about to do because you about to
That's a
listen to what I have
toxic
to say.
trait.
A hundred
It's a
percent,
toxic trait.
100%. But that's happened before, where people don't want to listen to what you have to say after they're done speaking. Once they're done speaking, they're done. And you're like, no, you're going to hear what I have to say because I just sat here and I respected you and I heard you out. So, hear from my point of view. And then it's like, okay, do you understand why I would feel that way? That's a major question, like within an argument or you feeling like you are being disrespected. Do you understand why I would feel that way? Yes, I understand how that came across, you know?
That is literally like what you just said literally just triggered me about my next trigger. Like
Okay. What's
my
your next
next
one?
trigger is like when you're in a situation like this is mainly like so this is really for the people who are in relationships and who argue with people. If you're arguing with a friend, mainly like your intimate relationships though, like say you're arguing, there's so many different ways to handle it. But like the person who gets their point across but won't listen to what you have to say
Mhm.
and vice versa. Sometimes you get so angry that you have to say what you have on your mind. And then there's some type of people who literally like they'll get their point across and that's it.
Mhm.
So like you're sitting here trying to go back and forth, back and forth. Okay, you said what you had to say. Now let me say what I have to say. No, I'm done. Let's talk about it in the morning.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
That shit is hard to deal with.
Yeah. Because you wanna talk
That's a
about it
trigger
now,
of mine.
and you don't wanna go to
Yeah,
bed mad. You want to
I'm
talk about it
passionate
right
about it.
now.
I'm
Mhm.
passionate about it, and it literally has my blood boiling. I want to talk about it now. I don't know if I'm
Mhm.
gonna make it till tomorrow morning, so let's address this motherfucker right now, please. That's how you be feeling in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a trigger, but like in hindsight, the next morning when you're calmed down, it's like I could probably address it a calmer
Mhm.
way now. Like it makes so much sense, but in the moment, that is one of my
Mhm.
biggest triggers too.
That
These are all
really
big triggers. I only have three.
that really goes into my next trigger, though. It makes it all make sense, honestly. So, my other trigger is being hung up on, right? Or being, like I said, unheard and cut off or being belittled. To me, being hung up on is so disrespectful. Like, it's so disrespectful. And my baby, please believe I will call you back to back to back to back to back. And this is
She
only if you
will.
hang up on me. This is only if you hang up on me or I know your phone's in your hand and you're intentionally not answering. Don't get me wrong, I'm not the crazy girlfriend that like, "Oh, I'm gonna call you 855 times randomly because you're not answering." No. This is strictly only if we're in the middle of an argument or there's a heated situation or you're frustrated, um, and you hang up on me. And then like, oh my gosh, my ex used to block me. Like he would block me. My baby, you ain't never heard of no caller ID because I'm gonna hit you up on no caller ID and I'm gonna keep calling and you're going to answer. And he did. He'd be like, man, my baby, I'm not trying to do this with you right now. And I'd be like, okay, but I'm not getting off the phone mad with you. Okay. So there's underlying reasons why I am this way, why this is a trigger for me, why this is something that really bothers me. Like literally to the point that I will lose sleep, right? Because
Right.
it's not about being hung up on, it's like, I don't want you to be mad. This goes back to being an empath. I don't want you to be mad. And then what if something happens to you? In the last conversation we had, you were mad and angry and you hung up. I always, like, even if we
Right.
disagree or you're frustrated right now, like, I just want to be able to be like, have a good night, be careful, have fun. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Like, I just want to be able to end the conversation on a positive note. Even if
Peacefully.
you are
Right.
frustrated, I don't want to feel like I have crippling anxiety. I don't know why. Like, I just,
Yeah.
it gives me so much anxiety because I don't want that, because that's happened to me. Like, well, I wouldn't say, thankfully, the situation that I had went through that made me that way, it didn't end on a bad note. But to me, I know that you really never know when your last day is going to be. You never know when your last time is going to be. You could pull out your driveway and get hit by a car. Like, there's anything.
There's
Like,
so many possibilities.
and so I live a life where I know the weight of a word. I don't say crazy things. And if I said it, believe that I mean it. And especially, I don't ever say disrespectful, crazy things. And if I say that to you, that says a lot because I never go there. I don't, because I know the weight of a word. I know what could happen. I know all of those things. So if you get me to that point, that's wild.
That's true.
Wild.
That's definitely true. I can confirm that. I of all of our we don't have many arguments, but of all of our years of friendship, like our arguments, you never really do cross the line. Whereas I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
If I get pissed, like I'm going off, and that's what I was thinking. Like you're talking along the lines of like always kiss each other goodnight, no matter how you feel.
Mhm.
Always do all this and on a good note, which I like to do too. But like if I get hung up on, oh, I'm gonna call your ass back too. But it ain't
Mhm.
to say it's not to hash it out. It's to just say,
It's
why in the
mean.
fuck would you hang up on me? Why are you hanging up? Answer. Don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear what I have to say. You get your shit off and hang up. That's the funny thing in arguments. Everybody gets their point off and then they just hang up. Click.
Yep.
That shit
Yep.
is very triggering.
Mhm.
Like,
I'll call back and I'll be like, "Now you know we don't do that. Don't do that because I don't care what you thought this was, but this ain't that. I'm so serious. Like you are going to hear what I have to
ugh,
say, and I'm going to be heard,
damn right.
and we're going to get off this phone, and you're going to be careful, and you're going to have a great night, and you're going to have a great vibe, and I'm going to have a great vibe because I know that you're not mad at me, and you're going to have a great vibe because you know I'm not mad at you, and we're going to live our happy dandy life. Like I don't want to
And
argue. I don't want to beef with you. I don't want to be bickering. I am like I can't stress it enough. I know there's a lot of people who say really mean things to their significant other, like really mean things. I know we don't do this. I know you definitely don't do that in your relationship. But I've heard some reckless things and I'm like, you guys have no idea when like you've been through the things that I've been through, you'll never speak like that again
right.
cuz the
No, I
weight of a
mean,
word.
a lot of times out of anger, I've said a couple things in some of my relationships for sure. I've said things that like I absolutely didn't mean, but usually I was just hell, alcohol was involved. I was very upset about something and it's happened to me a couple times, but the weight of a word is very important because no matter what your excuse is, what you can tell yourself in the morning, like, oh wow, I did too much, whatever, like I drank too much. I was just mad, I was harboring this. No matter what your excuse is, no, you can't. You don't forget that. They
Mhm.
might forgive, but no matter what, the other
Yep.
person who you said these things to will not forget.
Mhm.
No matter if they forgive you 100%, if you ever cross that line again, oh, here we go again.
Mhm.
There's these it's held on to. You don't, it's never let go of. It's forgiven, but it's never forgotten, and that shit's
Yeah.
hard to recover from. So the weight of a word is very important, very, very, very serious.
Yeah, and that's why
Words can cut deep.
mhm. That's why I'm big on that. I don't do the disrespectful stuff. I don't thankfully I don't be in relationships where people degrade me or talk down to me or say things that are mean because I don't do that. So I feel like you reciprocate energy to an extent to where if someone's doing it to you, you're like, "Oh, you want to go low? Let's go to hell." You know?
Right,
But I I don't want to do that. I care about you. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to make you
right.
feel like you suck. Now I'll
See,
say you
and it
suck,
doesn't.
but
It doesn't
like
matter. It doesn't matter so much when it's people you give zero fucks about, but when it's people who you care about and
mhm.
your friends and family and people who you consider their opinion to be important, like, yeah, you don't want to be hateful towards them. You don't want to hear hateful stuff towards you. So it's there's definitely a difference because there's going to be haters. With a hater, with somebody who I don't care about, who I don't know, they're just talking
Mhm.
shit. I'll talk shit right back to you. I don't care. I'll say some outlandish stuff. But to somebody who's in my circle, it's just
Yeah.
I try to avoid it.
Yeah. Like let's discuss it, hash it out. Okay, so what's another trigger of yours?
This is like this is really like my last one, but this is a big one.
Mhm.
Literally, for those of you who are listening who watched Ultimatum,
Mhm.
Zay and Ray, no feedback is my trigger.
Mhm.
Zay would pour his heart out. My trigger is when you're expressing yourself, expressing yourself, expressing yourself, and you just for some reason can't get no type of feedback on the same level. It's just
Mhm.
like kind of dance around what I'm saying, dance around what I'm saying, not address. I'm giving you my emotions, how I feel. You're not giving me that back.
Yeah.
That is a huge trigger for me.
Yeah.
And that's usually like in the initial stages of a relationship. You can expect to deal with that because people have walls up, people aren't fully trusting,
Mhm.
but it's still a trigger regardless of the timing.
Yeah. No, I
It's
definitely
it's
yeah, I
it's
definitely agree
generally
with
when you're
that.
getting to know somebody and it's just like, oh man, I'm trying to get to know you. I'm expressing myself. I'm trying to tell you how I feel, but I can't get the same thing back. Now you don't have to feel the same way, but express how you feel. Don't just close it off.
Mhm. Yeah, I think a lot of people there are some people though who were raised in a home where they can't really express their emotions or they can't talk about how they feel. And so I think that plays a part as well. Like people don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to talk about their feelings. They don't want to talk about it. They just want to live life and just go on with it. But at the end of the day, that can't you can't stem a healthy relationship off of that. Other people need validation. They need to know how you feel. They need to know what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, where you stand, where you see this going. These are all like
Right.
communication things, honestly.
Yep.
Communication is like the number one key to a healthy relationship, I think, in any way, shape, or form. Just being
There's a
able to
few of them,
really,
but
number
communication I
one,
definitely say is the biggest one. Like number one,
yeah,
communication. No
yeah,
matter like communication is number one in all relationships because with communicating initially you can avoid so many problems. You can
mm-hmm,
avoid wasting your time. When you first start talking to somebody, if they communicate what they're looking for, you can avoid
mm-hmm,
wasting so much time if you guys aren't on the same page. Or no matter what stage in a relationship, if you communicate with each other, um, you can avoid so many problems. I think where it gets tricky with communication because everybody's like, "Yeah, you have to communicate. It's obvious," but communication gets tricky when you start caring about somebody and really considering their feelings.
mm-hmm,
But that's where the initial communication is important. If you are upfront with them and honest about where you're coming from off the rip, once you have feelings invested and they have feelings invested in you, you don't have to worry about hurting those feelings because they already know how you feel about certain things.
mm-hmm.
So it's like that's why I guess it's just really important to really get to know somebody, their boundaries, their expectations before you get into an actual relationship,
Mhm.
and be clear on what you want, because
Yeah.
everybody today's world is crazy. Everybody's a little bit different. The dating game is crazy these days. Most of it started offline. If not, it's started in a place that you would never really expect to find no serious
Mhm.
chick or wife material, but you never know.
Yeah, I think that, and then, like, really understanding a person's triggers, and then real like, making it a point not to do those things, or not to I don't wanna not like you're walking on eggshells, but
What do
respect
you
the
what do you
fact.
think what do you think the real like core values of a relationship are? We said communication, but like what like communication that ties in with a couple other things. What do you think like are the most important like principles? Like what do you think you have to have a
Uh,
successful relationship?
I think loyalty,
Okay.
communication, loyalty, respect, um, let me think. Communication, loyalty, respect, honesty, I guess. It goes kind of with respect and loyalty, though. What do you think?
Yeah. You said communication, loyalty, respect, and honesty. I would tie honesty in with trust.
Mhm.
So honesty and trust, those two things. If you're honest, you can be trusted.
Mhm.
That's how I feel about it, right? Like, you
Mhm.
feel the same way?
Yeah.
That would technically make you trusted. They might not be doing something you like, but you can trust that they're being
Mhm.
honest with you. So
Yeah.
you're in the know.
Yeah.
So I think that goes together. Loyalty is important. Um, I think I have like I think understanding and patience. I think those both go into one thing. I think in a relationship, you definitely have to be patient. That's like one
Mhm.
thing that's missing from what you just listed is you have to have patience. And
Yeah.
with patience comes understanding, because basically it's like the three steps to what you just said. First, you have to have patience out of love, out of care for this person. You have to have patience. And when you can be patient and tolerant of people and what they're doing, as long as they have respect for you, then you can try to have some understanding of why they feel the way they feel,
Mhm.
which that ties into how they were raised, their past relationships, all of that. All of that factors into this one person until they meet you. And then when they meet you, they become a new person, maybe
Mhm.
slightly, maybe most of the same tendencies, but they still change. Like we're continuously evolving.
Mhm.
So you get that patience and understanding. And then after that, it becomes a compromise. If you have communication, patience, and understanding, ultimately it comes down to what are you going to compromise, because you're never going to find the exact same person as you. So there's always going to be a
Mhm.
compromise. This
Yeah.
doesn't mean you have to quote unquote settle, but I've always been one to say you're going to have to settle for some things
Mhm.
with anybody in any relationship. You just have to figure out which things are the deal breakers and what aren't. Which this is like a really good like this is like a really technical breakdown, but I think everybody is always settling in all relationships because there's always going to be things that you love and things that you
Mhm.
don't like. But what things that you don't like, what qualities are worth saying no, this isn't for me, and what qualities can you tolerate?
Right. Like, does
So
the
that's the
good
big
outweigh
thing is like
like,
the
does the
big
good
thing is the
weight
compromise.
yeah.
Does the
Yeah,
good
like
outweigh the bad?
mhm. Does the good outweigh the bad? So, are all the pros better than all the cons, you know? So,
Right.
is someone bringing to the table the main fundamental things that you feel necessary in order to maintain a relationship with that person? Sometimes there are things that you need from a relationship, and if you're not getting them, you're never gonna be fulfilled in certain ways, whether that be, like
Right.
kind of ties in with love languages as well, like, if a person is not showing you your love language, or not giving you love in the way you receive love, they can do everything in the world, but if you're not feeling loved by them and that's not how you receive love, then, that's basically
Right.
as what
That's
it is
very
as well.
important. And that's
Understanding.
where communication comes into it and understanding. Like, if you don't have the communication and understanding in a safe space, and just the pause for a second, I love how every single one of the podcasts we're doing are building off of one another
Mhm.
because everything's tying into one another.
Yeah.
If you don't have that trust for one another and the communication and understanding, how can one person know your love language unless there are some people who can pick up on it, like, oh, she likes this or
Mhm.
he likes this.
Mhm.
But like sometimes that stuff has to be communicated, because
Yeah.
oftentimes I would say majority of people assume naturally that their partner receives love the way they give it,
Mhm.
without like understanding, like, oh no, she receives it like this.
Mhm.
No, that's not always the case. So without that, it has to be communicated some way or another, and without the communication, how do
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
That's why, like, you have to, like, I think friendship is very very important in a relationship, like, to also be friends. It's not
Mhm.
separate, but it is kind of it's not completely separate, but you should be able to do both with
Mhm.
your partner. You should be able to be intimate and like be in your relationship time, but also have moments to where like we just chilling. I'm in my sweats and no makeup on, chilling, and he's just looking like a bum right now this morning. But to me, he
Mhm.
looks like a whole king
Right.
type of vibe. Like,
Mhm.
you should be able to do it all together. It all should be balled into one.
Mhm.
It's a very dynamic situation, but like all factors are important.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the base is communication, communication and patience, compromise, understanding. Patience comes with understanding. So it's like, I think all that's important. Loyalty is very, very important for some people. Some people it's not. Today, for me,
Loyalty
it is.
is top tier. I need to know that I can count on you. I need to know that I can rely on you. I need to know that you're going to be there. I need to know that I don't need to question anything. He would never. And I need to be able to really believe that, because I think that often.
Sure.
And
And the
what
only
they get
reason
to
I said
never
that
into
is,
never and like they never nevered before. Once you say they would never,
once you say they never, yeah, once you say they ain't never,
they
it
get
could
to
happen
never in and
anytime.
never in, like they never
The
nevered.
only reason I didn't say loyalty is because like you just define it in a great way. But
Mhm.
sometimes there's also people who have relationships who are, they're open, like,
Mhm.
we do this, we do our own thing, but like ultimately we have a primary situation. Very unorthodox, not the way I'm living, but
Mhm.
just open to how everybody's doing their thing.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how you define loyalty, but ultimately loyal to our cause and our purpose and our unity, our
Even if
union
Yeah,
is,
even if you are a polygamist though, like you can
yeah,
still be loyal within your polygamy because you're loyal to your wives or your whatever, your girlfriends, or as long as everything's understood and spoken and said and truthful and honest, then you can't really knock it. You know what I mean?
loyalty.
Whatever
Yeah,
people are
sure.
people are into whatever people are into, let people live their life, let people do whatever they want, whatever their sexuality is, whatever they're into. That's just kind of how I feel. Like I personally don't know what it's like to be anything other than what is it? Heterosexual? Is that when you like
Yep.
this? Yeah. So,
I believe that would
um,
be so.
yeah, I don't know
I've
what
heard some
that's.
people say strictly dickly in your
Yeah.
situation.
So, basically, yeah, but like, I think females are attractive, but yeah, no, I'm not going to be in a relationship with one. But like, I don't know what that's like to live in a time where you feel like you're not accepted. I basically my whole life I've always dated African American men or biracial people, and I always felt like I was different or like I was judged for that, or I always was. I don't know
Yeah.
why that is. I've been that way my whole entire life, like my whole literal entire life. Besides, I had a boyfriend in high school that was not, but um, I always felt different because of that as well, so I cannot imagine, like, trans people. I can't tell you what that feels like, and I can't say that it's not real or it's not validated because I have no idea what that's like, so for anyone to be able to speak on a sexuality or how someone feels, they have no idea. You can't say that that's not a thing because you don't know.
Right.
And so imagine being feeling trapped inside a body that you don't feel like you belong in. I can't tell you what that's like, but I can't say that I can't invalidate it and say that that's not a thing either.
Right. No, no, no. It's something that most people don't experience and most people can't validate.
Mhm.
And by all means, for me, like the way I see it is I have little children. So it's like, by all means, live the life that you choose. You like who you like. You want to be who you feel like you are.
Mhm.
And that's natural. I can't relate because I feel like I am, who I've been
Mhm.
created to be.
Right.
There's so many things that can happen in life to make you feel a certain way, one
Mhm.
way or another, one gender or another, whatever.
Mhm.
With that being said, I don't, when we were kids, there was no like choice of gender and all this. Gender was
Mhm.
based off what you were born with and what you weren't.
Mhm.
I still feel that way.
Mhm.
And please, everybody, understand that there's no malice against anybody who feels differently. But my problem is with the agenda that's being pushed. Like I feel like I'm seeing a lot of news stories about uh, what second, third and fourth graders learning about sexuality and like what gender are you, and are you a pronoun, or are you a him or her? Like
Mhm.
I just don't agree with it. I
Yeah.
think that children should be children.
Mhm.
I don't think that there should be any pressure placed on anybody to choose what they are. Just be who you are.
Yeah.
So I'm for all life. I'm for all people. I'm for all humans. But I don't like the agenda like being pushed to the children. Oh, you have to make a choice. Are you a boy or a girl?
Yeah.
A lot of these
'Cause
kids would have never thought about that until it was pushed. But a lot of schools around the country, especially the US, around the country, are pushing this agenda like, oh, you don't have to be this or that.
right.
I'm from the old school belief you are what you were born with.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to change, by all means change. If you want to do whatever because you feel away, by all means. And I'll treat you and love you the same, whoever you are. But I don't like the agenda being pushed because it feels like it's like pushing society towards a certain way, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I think it's more
It's
or less
uncomfortable.
them
This is uncomfortable conversation.
right. I think it's more or less them trying to eh, create this narrative of acceptance. So if you feel this way, then don't feel less than, you are accepted, you know? Now, I think when I was
Right.
a kid, if I were to see something like that on TV or in a show, that wouldn't have made me not who I am today. That wouldn't have influenced me
Right.
because you are who you are. You feel how you feel. There's no way you're just like vibing, like, you know what? I think I want to be a boy today. Like, I think it goes so much deeper than that. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like
I
I
think
said, because and I think no one can really. I don't want to say no one can speak on it, but like you don't really. No one knows. No one has any idea unless you're in that situation. I try to explain that to
right.
the people that I know. I get what you're saying though. Like you don't want it to be pushed on kids, but I think if you are who you are and you know yourself, then that would never persuade you differently. You're like, I don't think it's something that you just decide, like, you know what, not really feeling it, because that's a permanent decision forever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That the change is a permanent decision for the most part. But I'm
Mhm.
just saying, like, imagine you being 6 or 7. Were you thinking about whether, or let's say 4 or 5, 6 or 7? Were you thinking about whether I'm a boy or a girl, or did you just know because of the parts? You know what I mean? Like, did you just know? There was no confusion.
Yeah, there wasn't for me. None.
There was no class in school talking about um uh refer to her this way or refer to
Right.
them as them or they. Like
Mhm.
that's where it just gets confusing. I just think with the way society is right now, there's agendas being pushed and it's a little bit dangerous. And I
Mhm.
think we should let children be children before they. Why do you have to declare yourself as a boy or girl? I
Mhm.
highly doubt for the large, vast majority of children in kindergarten, first, second, third grade, when you say, um, Carly, where is she? Where's she at? I highly doubt that they're going to be offended saying, I'm not a she, I'm a boy. It
Yeah.
could happen, but I highly doubt it. That's the very, very small population of people if that's the case.
Yeah.
And I just don't like the agenda being pushed. I think we should just let people be people.
Mhm.
And I hope nobody misconstrues what I just said, because like I know it's a dangerous topic, but like the way I'm raising my kids is love everybody. If they're different, love
Mhm.
them. If they're the same, love them. If as long as they're kind to you, you have no problem with them.
Mhm.
If they're mean to you, treat everybody with kindness. Treat everybody the way you would want to be treated. We've all been taught that. That's the way you should. I don't
Mhm.
like how people that make outside of the norm decisions get treated like shit. That's not cool.
Right.
Everybody should be able to be their own person, but I will stand on the fact that I don't like how they are moving about the agenda, because I feel like it
Mhm.
is an agenda.
Yeah.
But that's just the world we live in. We all got to adapt and move forward. So I think it all really is based upon how we're raised as children, and we have to do our job even stronger now as parents,
Mhm.
um, to let your child know that you can be whatever you want to be.
Mhm.
That goes for career, that goes for gender, that goes for whatever. But you can be whatever you want to be. You make up your mind. But I'm just going to
Mhm.
guide you to be the most successful that you can be.
Yeah. Like whatever you feel comfortable, however you feel. I think, 95% of the population is that way. I don't want to say 95%, but kids, you know what I mean? Like 95 I think it's safe to say 95% of kids feel like they are their gender. Like and there
For
are
sure.
there are a small percentage, might be even big percentage, but I know for a fact you walk into a kindergarten classroom, there's not going to be 50% of the class that thinks that there's something other than
No.
what they are. So that's what I'm
I
getting at
just like, I
basically.
just, my biggest concern is I don't want to like, that's too much pressure on a kid.
Mhm.
Even a kid can realize that pressure. They should just be playing in the dirt and the sand and outside playing sports and getting dirty and being rough with each other. They shouldn't be worried about decisions like that.
Mhm.
We didn't have to make that decision, so
Yeah.
they shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But the thing is like with the agenda, the next thing is like my kids are on their tablets. They're on all this technology. We didn't have that when we were kids. So like things have changed. They learn things a lot quicker. They see things a lot quicker. It's programmed into you through the programs that they watch.
Mhm.
So it's just concerning, but either way, whatever way it goes, everything will be all good. You just as a parent have to instill that in your children.
Yeah. Basically all I was getting at is I can't imagine feeling like that as an adult or like, you know, I just can't imagine feeling like I don't belong in my body. So, if you feel like that,
Sure.
I cannot relate, but
No,
I
if
cannot imagine. And I
the
wish.
beautiful thing about the world today, and mainly where we come from, is if you don't feel like yourself, if you don't feel like you belong in your body, you have resources to go do whatever you would like to do.
Mhm.
Just about. If you don't want to be you, if you don't want to be her, be him. If you don't want to be you, be them.
Mhm.
That's a great thing if you feel that bad about it, but it's also a negative thing. Like I like natural.
Mhm.
I like natural women, and I feel like today there's a very large emphasis on the perfect body, and I think it's most of it's all fake.
Mhm.
All this image of the perfect look is based off fake stuff,
Mhm.
and I just I hate that females take so much value in that. I hate it, and most majority of women do.
Yeah, basically they all look the same at this point. Like the bodies, the BBLs, the tummy tucks, the lipo 360s, everybody's just building the same exact body. And I saw this girl today who actually has a BBL. And she said, "Don't get the surgery, y'all. I'm telling you, this body don't hold up. Like it changes
Yeah,
over time. Like it's not gonna stay solid like that forever." So I don't know. I personally don't really care to do any of that stuff. I think that if I ever went on another weight loss journey and lost a bunch of weight and had like loose skin, I'd probably get like a tummy tuck for the skin removal. But that's
right.
about. I don't really care to nip and tuck and be in society's norm or whatever you want to call it. That's not really my vibe. It's not really what I'm on.
Sure. I mean,
Um,
and for me, it's just like if you want to do something, by all means, do it. I'm not going to judge you for that. I'm not going to like you any less or treat you any differently for doing it. It's just I don't see the need for a lot of people. Like if it's for health reasons, sure, but other than that, I feel like it's like abusing a resource that we have.
mhm.
That's just me, though.
Yeah, for sure. To an extent, I get. Yeah, right. Like you're just building a body. It's crazy. It's wild though that you can do it. No, no disrespect to anybody that's got it. Because I mean, do you boo? You pay for that. You better rock it. Okay. Like
Yeah, for
everybody.
sure. If you do it, but for those of y'all that do it, please understand that you have to put in work after you do it
Yeah.
because it can go away.
Mhm.
Like it's not going to stay there forever just because you got it done. You have to put in some work and it
Yeah.
will go away faster than you would imagine.
Yeah. That's what that girl was saying today. She's like, girl, because she's pregnant right now with twins. And she got a whole mommy makeover after her daughter, and then now she's pregnant with 2 twin girls, and you already know
Mm,
twins, I can only imagine that's gonna
yeah.
be, like, wild. Wild, wild, wild. Um, Now did we get any emails for this week?
I was just about to say that. So we did get an email. This is like pertaining to the trigger situation.
Mhm,
Um, Somebody said lack of communication is something I absolutely can't stand. I can't stand when a dude can't communicate. Lately, I'm feeling as though someone could ghost me at any moment, and I've put my feelings into us.
mhm.
How do you feel about that?
I definitely can relate because I feel like in this generation, you don't want to be all in, you don't wanna be vulnerable, you don't wanna open up because once you tell them that, I mean, shoot, their head could get big and they're just like, "You know what? Whatever, I got her. She's cool. She's wrapped in. I don't even need to put in no effort no more." Or Imma just ghost her because I already know how she feel. I know she on me, so it's cool, you know? I
Hmm.
definitely feel her. Unfortunately, that is, a very normal thing within our generation at this point, which sucks, but yeah.
It just ties into the world we're living in. It's I hate so I love social media, but I hate it more than I love it. Like the downsides are so negative. If people just had to be away from their phones, if they could just not have phones and focus on each other
Mhm,
for each day and have like an allotted time that they're allowed to be on their phones and social media,
mhm.
relationships would be so much better. But it's definitely reasonable to feel like you could be ghosted at any time because you could,
Yeah,
but you could also ghost that person too.
mhm. It's like, is the grass
So
greener?
exactly.
Always,
So I mean,
especially with
it's just
social
like
media.
anybody who's fearful of that typically tells me that they've been ghosted, and anybody who feels that way, please continue to be you. Don't change for somebody that you think is going to ghost you. Don't change for anybody who may want something different if it's not for the betterment of you and you guys together, the union. Like, be your own person. Sometimes you have to screen people. Somebody said that on a live to you earlier today. Do you screen people? You have to screen a little bit and see like what your interests are. What are you looking for? Are you
Mhm,
wasting my time or not? Are we looking for the same thing? Like, I think it's very important to date with intentions, and a lot of the people who be doing the ghosting aren't dating with intention.
mhm.
Date with intentions to marry if that's what you're trying to do. If not, date to have fun. Date to do what you do, but don't be disappointed in the outcome.
Ugh, the entire
So it's
generation is dating to have fun. The entire male population, I swear. I know I
yeah,
know I'm
like
being dramatic.
99% of it.
I know I'm being dramatic, but
No, I mean, KG, I was dating to have fun. I
yeah.
met somebody who I liked and it happened to work out.
Mhm.
But I was dating to have fun. Like,
Well, they're dating to have
and
sneaky links and a roster and multiple people. Like it's just like it's never good enough. Nothing is ever good enough. It's always like what's the next best thing? What can happen next? What else is out there? What am
why
I missing?
and that comes back to the whole like why do people feel like they can't grow with somebody else? Why do they have to be on their own? Why do they have to be ready? Why can't you get ready with somebody in the process?
Right.
That's the best way. You learn through experience. So why
Mhm.
can't you be in a relationship
Yeah.
and learn how to be a better partner versus, oh, I'm not ready.
Yeah, you can't build a
If you've
kingdom entertaining the village.
Literally. If you really value somebody, if you really care about somebody, and you feel like they're that person for you, you will not end that relationship. You will date them and you'll figure out a way to get better
Mhm.
in that situation.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
communication is important. You can't really. It's hard to deal with lack of communication. That's basically something you really can't get over. All you can do is express that. Without communication, it won't work. So if there's no communication, cut it off.
Deal
That's a respect thing.
breaker.
That's a respect thing.
Mhm.
If you're begging for communication and they won't give it to you,
Mhm.
leave.
You're begging for the bare
Because that's
minimum.
just, I'm begging for the bare minimum and you won't give me that. See ya.
Right. It's been real, really real. Um,
Um, hmm. I got another one that says, do you think it's best? Do you think it could work to date the same person, or is balance more important? Like, so basically, like to date the same person as you, or would balance be better for a relationship?
um, I don't know because I think if someone's very similar to you, then they understand your communication style and they understand what it takes to deal with you or to deal with you in a certain magnitude where you're frustrated or things are tough. If you're dealing with someone that's opposite of you, say you're a very like soft-spoken person and your significant other is like kind of aggressive, it shouts like when they're angry, that could be like intimidating. So, I guess it just depends
Sure.
definitely on communication styles. Me, I don't do well with people shouting or acting aggressive towards
Maybe
me.
maybe like a question like that is what would like really get. That's something that would really like be a great example of something that involves your zodiac sign.
Mhm.
Not everybody believes in zodiac, but really didn't. But reading them, they're pretty accurate. So like the different zodiacs, the different types of people. If you're the same person, you might be a slightly different zodiac. You might handle things slightly differently. It's great in the way that you think the same, but also I feel like you feel the same way, but you handle things differently. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, so even though we feel the same way, I go about it. I try to go towards the goal in a different way.
Yeah.
So that could be good, could be bad.
I don't know, they say
On the contrary, the balance. I think balance, if it is truly balance, is better than the same person.
mhm.
Balance,
If
but
it's
is it really
balanced.
balance, or is it the opposite?
Yeah. I need someone that balances me when I'm irritated, when I'm frustrated, cuz me, I cannot deal with someone like if I'm irritated, I don't need you to one up me and be louder than me, right? That's not nothing is constructive here. Like so if you're frustrated and I sense that, I'm going to like tone it down because obviously you're frustrated. Anything I say right now is just going to make it worse. But if
Right.
I'm with someone who doesn't agree with why I'm frustrated or something and they wanna overtalk me and overshout me and they think shouting is getting the point across, it's not. It's just making me mad. Like,
Yeah,
so
but you tend to raise your voice too, man.
yeah, when I'm defensive. So it's all about communication and
Hmm.
the way you communicate to me. So if I feel defensive, then I raise my voice, but in relationships, I will say I don't get like that for real. Not very often, like, unless I feel disrespected. I don't really have shouting
Right.
matches, like, with people that I deal with. I
It
don't
never accomplishes anything.
yeah. I'm like I literally will look at them and be like, "Why are you shouting?" "I'm not shouting, I'm just saying da 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 da." But it's like, "Why
Ma'am,
you
why
are."
are you raising your voice? It triggers you. Every time I've ever been into a shouting match, we end up talking calmly later, and it's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have yelled like that. Sorry.
Yeah, like oh my gosh, you really get loud. Like you do a lot. You do the most. We've only been in one fight, like one shouting match, maybe two.
One or two over
Not
the
a lot
years.
in 12 years, 10, 12 years. But
No.
I yeah, and you really like yeah. That one yeah, just bad. But It is what it is. We got over it. And then we talk about it and I'm like, "Okay, do you understand why I feel this way?" And you're like, "Yes, I understand why that made you feel like that. I shouldn't
But do
have said
you feel
this."
the way I felt? Do you feel why I felt that way? That's what I always say. You got to see my point too, man. I feel like I don't
Sometimes.
fight for nothing.
Yes, you do. I just feel like sometimes um I think you're good at taking accountability for things. So when you're in the wrong, you
Yeah,
take accountability for it. And then when you calm down, when you see it from my point of view, you understand wholeheartedly why I would feel like that. So then it's like
for sure.
I don't want to say I don't have to understand it from your point of view, but once you hear it from my point of view, you 1,000% agree, and you're like, wait, hold on, I was tripping.
Yeah, no, I have to calm down. Like that's why, like
Your
that's
trigger.
that's my that's my partner's way of handling things, and it triggers me because she wants to put things off until the morning to where we can calm down, which makes perfectly logical sense afterwards, but in the moment it really pisses me off. But it always works for the best. Like
Yeah.
it really does. It
Yeah.
always works for the best because when you want to say something, you're mad. I want to say it now, but
Mhm.
if you just wait till the morning, usually in the morning, I'm like, okay, I can. I always look at myself and say, like, what could have I done better? And there's always something that I could have done better.
Yeah, but you're good at taking accountability and you'll say that. You'll be like,
Yeah,
I
for
shouldn't have
sure.
done
I
this.
own
I
it.
shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have raised my voice. I shouldn't have said that or whichever whatever it is. You are really good at taking accountability. I think both of us both of us are in that aspect. I know like when I get frustrated at you and then like I think about it and then I'll call you in a little bit and be like, I just wanted to apologize that I know that I'm being
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
irrational
yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Like, and you're like, you're
Well, with
good.
you, I don't know if you've noticed, but with you, I've learned to like kind of like I just don't say nothing because I don't really know how to respond because I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'm just going to like. Usually, I try. I see your point because I don't know if you've noticed it, but usually I see your point to an extent so much to where I won't even respond because I don't know how to respond. I'm in a tough spot. Like I don't want to upset you,
Mhm.
and I really don't have a good argument. It's just like I do have like a I do have an argument that would like allow you to see my point, but like I see your point too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. That's why I'm
I
saying
can't
like
really argue with it, so I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to say nothing. I just kind of sit there and look at you like my vibe's just messed up for the day now. Thanks. Wow.
But that's what I said when I said, you take accountability for it, and then you're like, "Oh, do you see from my point of view?" 9 times out of 10, whenever I tell you where I'm coming from, you don't really have anything to say because you understand why I feel like that.
Yeah, as long as you catch me at a moment where I'm still willing to listen to your point, you're always
Mhm.
going to get that from me.
Yeah.
If I'm too far gone, you have to wait till the next day.
Yeah. Okay, so when this episode airs, it will be this is a little kind of off topic, but kinda not considering the time that you're listening to this podcast. So when this episode airs, it will be Mother's Day. Um, so did you have anything that
Hmm.
you wanted to say in regards to your children's mothers or your mother yourself?
Oh, I got three folks who call out.
Okay.
Uh, to Lulu, the mother of my children, the mother of my latest child and my children. I'm so appreciative of you. Um, I can't express how grateful I am for you. You literally came into my life, have taught me things as I've taught you things, and it's a great couple and it's a great match. And I just appreciate all that you do for the family, for our daughters, as well as my boys, which you've done the utmost that you can do to be a stepmom to them. And I really appreciate it. To Chelsea, the mother of my boys, I really appreciate you. I'm always going to appreciate you. You've been solid. Don't have no complaints about you. We've had our disagreements, but all together, we've always been on the same team, and I hope we continue to be that way. And to my mom, the ride or die
You feel me?
of all women that I've ever known. Shout out to my mom, KB.
Yes.
You will always be that one true person who I know I can come to in any moment, whether it's good or bad. and you'll always have my back. I love all y'all. I appreciate it. And I
Yes.
think that's a great way to end my segment of the pod. Now, shout out your mama.
Yeah. So to my mother, I just want to say thank you for always being there for me. Thank you for being my person. I literally have no idea in the whole world what I would do without you. You were my sane, the yin to my yang, or the yang to my yin. I'm not sure which one's more crazy, but you're the calm one between the two of us. Um, I literally cannot imagine a single second of my life without you. I don't ever want to have to live without you ever. And I love you to the moon and beyond in this lifetime and the next, forever and ever. And with that being said, that concludes this week's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. You guys can go ahead and send us your email segments or email questions, topics, anything you'd like to ask us to timeoutletsgetreal at gmail.com. You can follow me on TikTok at KLou. Follow our podcast TikTok at Time Out Let's Get Real. And my Instagram is the official KLou. What are your tags?
Follow your boy at It's Your Boy ZB. I appreciate everybody listening. We're going to catch y'all next week.
Have a good day.